Shabbat Shalom. I have done stupid things in my life. That shouldn't be considered a confession. That should be just part of living. I've lived 50 years. That means at different times in my life I've done stupid things. But why do we do stupid things? Looking back in hindsight, if we can recognize that it was stupid, we should also be able to recognize that we probably knew it was stupid before we did it. And yet we did it anyway. Now, some of you, if I gave you a little time and you reflected on the stupid things you did in life, some of you might come up with a lot of the stupid things that you've done, maybe when you have partaken too much of alcohol or other substances that we don't need to go into. I'm not looking for confessions here, whether or not you inhaled. But many of our dumbest things are often done under the influence, as they say. But those aren't the stupid things I'm talking about. I want to talk about the more basic, normal, and destructive stupid things that we do. That we do because of the Yetzer Hara. Now, the Yetzer Hara is one of those terms that we usually render into Hebrew because the English is very misleading, misunderstood, and often laden with non-Jewish concepts. Because the English is usually translated as the evil inclination. The will to bad might be a more basic translation of the Hebrew, Yetzer Hara, the bad will, the inclination, the temptation. Well, unfortunately, all of these words get laden with Christological concepts that have been put into Western pop culture that do not match what Judaism means by the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is the fundamental drive within us that is often called the appetite, or often called our fear, our jealousy, our anger, our desire, our lust. Now, in and of itself, Judaism believes that this Yetzer Hara is part of us. It is not the temptation of some demonic force. It is not the influence of demons or devils. This is part of what it is to be human. Indeed, our tradition recognizes that the Yetzer Hara is born when the baby is born. Because there is nothing so selfish in the world as a baby. I don't mean to insult babies. They're wonderful. I love them. Nice. But a baby is fundamentally selfish, at least from the perspective of an adult. The baby comes into the world, and when the baby is hungry, what does it do? When the baby needs to be changed, when the baby is uncomfortable or wants a little love, very good. Does the baby care if it's 3 in the morning? Does the baby care if the parents have to go to work in the morning? Does the baby care if it only cried an hour ago and the parents just barely got back to sleep and now it's crying again? No, because the baby is selfish. Again, not maliciously. It's not trying to be mean to the family, but the baby knows that the baby has needs, has wants, and it wants those needs met now. And so it lets you know. That is the Yetzer Hara. I am hungry, I want to eat. Does it matter what I'm eating, where I'm eating, how I'm eating, whose food I'm taking? Well, as a child, no. As an adult, however, we believe that there should be a tempering of the Yetzer Hara. There should be moderation of the Yetzer Hara. Of course, when you are hungry and you feel that need, that desire for food, you should eat, but there are limits. You don't fill your belly by stealing from someone else. You don't sit down to a 3-course meal in the middle of the meeting room while everyone else is staring at you and someone else is trying to do their presentation at the front of the room. That is considered rude and selfish. It may fly for a baby, it's not going to fly for an adult. That is our Yetzer HaTov, according to our tradition. Our instinct for good, which is also there within us, recognizing through our discomfort, our conscience, that maybe this is not the right way to answer that call of our Yetzer, of our will. Giving us that guidance, that chastisement to try and keep us on track. And within our life, the Yetzer HaTov and the Yetzer Hara are not exactly at war. Again, that is too much of a Christological view, but they are definitely in tension. Without the Yetzer Hara, says our tradition, we would die. We need that drive. We need that desire in order to go out, to live, to acquire, to build up a life around us rather than sit like an amorphous blob in the center of the room with nothing pulling us in any direction. But if we allow it to control us, if we allow it to get the better of us, then the Yetzer Hara not only drives us towards things that are inappropriate, but it also drives us to be fools. It makes idiots of us. The Yetzer Hara is short-sighted. The Yetzer Hara knows only this moment. The Yetzer Hara does not care about the consequences down the road. The Yetzer Hara does not care about the implications of our behavior. The Yetzer Hara is that baby, and babies, apart from being very selfish, are also very stupid. Again, no malice to babies. They're wonderful, but they're newborn. What do they know of the world? What do they know that if they allow their parents to sleep a little bit longer, they'll be in a better mood the next time they come to feed them, and that will make the relationship better? The babies don't know that. The baby knows, I felt something gurgly, feed me. And if I called you half an hour ago, feed me even still. And I don't care about the implications. Even though that's not good for the baby, because sleep-deprived parents are not the best parents. The Yetzer Hara is short-sighted. Let's say, for example, you are working for a company, and the company you feel is not treating you fairly. Your boss is a jerk. The promotions keep going past you. The salary is falling behind what is normal for your field. The Yetzer HaTov tells you, this isn't right. It's not fair. I should go talk to my boss, or talk to my boss's boss, or begin looking for another job. Perfectly normal, rational responses to a situation that is not going well, and can lead to a good outcome for you, and maybe if you stay and are able to change the culture, a better outcome for everyone else too. No problem. What does the Yetzer Hara say? Burn it down. Take something, right? Why should you put up with all this grief without proper compensation? You know, there's the petty cash box. No one ever notices what's missing from that. Take a 20. You deserve it. You see what gas costs today? Do you see what the gas prices are looking like? Just grab 20 from petty cash. They owe it to you because they've been ripping you off for years. Stick it in your pocket, and boom. Now you have rebalanced the universe. That's the baby in us. The Yetzer Hara tells us, fix it now, fix it immediately, fix it with the quickest solution possible. Who cares about the consequences, and who cares whether there would be a better long-term solution? I want the gratification of feeling my needs met now. And that is a drug. That feeling of gratification, that feeling of somebody cut in line in front of me. The Yetzer HaTov tells me I should talk to them rationally, find out maybe they're with the other person in front of me, see if maybe they didn't notice there was a line. Maybe I have to talk to the person who's running this operation to let them know somebody cut in the line. There are ways to handle this. The Yetzer Hara tells me I want the instant gratification of humiliating them now. And so I am going to start screaming at them, and I am going to start cursing at them, because that release is going to feel so good right now. It's not going to feel good long term. Like the person ripping off from petty cash, eventually it will catch up to you. Whether it catches up to you because eventually you take a little too much and get caught, and thus you not only lose this job but ruin your prospects for finding a good replacement, or whether it be it catches up to you because you shout at the wrong person and that person feeds you their hand, and now you're on your way to the ER, or whether you are caught on tape and now you are one of the funny videos making the rounds on the internet of look at this idiot. The Yetzer Hara doesn't care. It will make you an idiot for that moment of release, that feeling of gratification of having fed the need for my anger, my rage, my greed, my lust, whatever it might be. The Yetzer Hara asks us to move instantly in a straight line, as quick as possible, to grab what it's crying for. And when we do that, we don't care where we're walking. And that turns us into idiots very fast. Now, the Yetzer Hara grows powerful the more we feed it. The more we allow it to guide our actions, the more we give in to that instant gratification, the more likely we are to give into it the next time as well. It builds one after the other, allowing us to ignore the Yetzer HaTov, that good inclination, whenever it pops up and says, wait a minute, once we get used to ignoring it, all bets are off. Look at our good friend Bilam. Bilam is able to connect to God. He is able to tune into God's radio frequency, if you will. He is able to get the inside scoop of what God is planning. And when he finds that there is a customer who would very much like to curse the Israelites, he knows that that's not going to fly. He knows, having listened in on God's radio, that the Israelites are not going to be taken down by the likes of Moab or any of the other local tribes. But they are offering an awful lot of money. And then the justifications kick in. Well, I'll go, but I'll tell them I'll just do what God says. If you're just going to do what God says and you know that God doesn't want them cursed, why go at all? Because you are looking for an opening. You are thinking, I'm going to be able to find a loophole somehow. Maybe if I offer enough sacrifices. Doesn't work. Maybe if we stand over here where we only see a bit of the Israelites. Doesn't work. Maybe the Israelites will do something wrong and that will give me an opening. He goes home empty-handed. Of course, according to our tradition, that beginning of chapter 25, the very end, regarding Pinchas and the giving in to the Yetzer Hara with the Moabite women and eating the sacrifices and worshiping their idols, that was Bilam's final way of trying to cash in. Bilam was the one who came up with that scheme. When he found that he couldn't actually curse the Israelites and instead had to only say what God was saying, he eventually said, well, you know what? I may not be able to get the satisfaction from my Yetzer Hara in the direct means that I normally want, but I bet if I tempt the Israelites with their Yetzer Hara, then we can bring them down. It's not quite as satisfying as doing it yourself. It's not quite as direct as the Yetzer Hara wanted. But by that point, Bilam had already become so beholden to that inclination that he was willing to go the extra mile to satisfy it. He was willing to actually scheme to do wrong rather than merely do it by impulse. Of course, it kind of worked. 24,000 of us ended up dying because of that terrible behavior of our Yetzer Hara. But it wasn't the victory that he was really looking for. The Yetzer Hara is both our spur moving us forward, but it is also a rocket booster that pushes us in any direction faster than we can control. We need the spur from time to time. We need to be encouraged to try and do more, to acquire more in life, whether it be experiences or anything else. But we have to watch our trajectory, and we have to watch what we are going through. Nothing is as stupid as a person pursuing what they want, blind to the consequences to themselves and others. We see this throughout the Torah. Indeed, it is the battle throughout the entire Tanakh. Do we give in to the Yetzer Hara, to unenlightened self-interest, to our greed, rage, passion, and hurt ourselves and others in the process of just for that moment satisfaction? Or do we mitigate it? Do we blunt it with the Yetzer HaTov, with the guidance of Torah, with the commandments and fulfilling them, to ensure that even as we move forward with our desires, we are doing so in a way that looks further down the road, allows us to satisfy them without harm to ourselves or others, and without being a fool. The Torah gives us wisdom because it keeps us from being the idiots we otherwise would be. Use it. Be wise. Be smart. It's all God has asked for. Shabbat Shalom.